Are you sure you really want this divorce? The magistrate asked the couple sitting in front of him with their lawyers on either side of them. They were silent. The man has his usual stoic face on while the woman has a blank look. Sensing the thick tension in the air, their lawyers came forward. They want the divorce, my lord, one of them said while the other agreed. It has only been 6 months since your wedding. I think you should work things out. I can see a little hope. There is no hope. The woman who was silent all along interrupted, gaining others' attention. We don't want this unwanted marriage. We are not compatible for each other, and we definitely don't want to hang in it just because you see a little hope. Sh- She forced out the words in a bland voice. The elderly man sighed and shook his head, seeing another childish couple making impulsive decisions. Okay. He grabbed his pen. Opening the lid, he signed on some papers and then thumbed the stamp on it. Congratulations, you are finally divorced. He smiled like good luck with the breakdown. Wyan stormed out of the room. Jimmy looked at her retreating back and felt a pang in his heart. Didn't it what he wanted then? Why was it bothering him when it happened finally? Descending the stairs, he saw Wyan standing there, probably waiting for her ride. He approached her. Wyan. Her name trailed off his tongue smoothly. Slightly, ever so slightly, she tilted her head to glance at him before looking ahead at the road. The mere glance was enough for him to see her face. Her blank face showed no emotions, and her eyes were red due to how hard she was trying to hold her tears. They were living together till morning, but now he didn't know. Come with me, I'll drop you home, he said with hesitation. I don't go with strangers, she snapped back. I am a stranger? She looked at him sharply. Who are you then? I. He gulped the lump formed in his throat. If it were in the past, he would have addressed him as her husband. But now, he himself didn't know what relationship he holds with her. Ex husband? That just sounds pathetic. He is pathetic. What he always wanted happened now. But why was he feeling so restless? She looked at him tiredly, as if she was drained out of energy. He opened his mouth to say something and closed it. He wanted to say something, but what? All of the sudden, he was lost at words. When he finally made a sentence to say, she was already inside the cab. He looked at the car until it was out of his sight. His heart clenched. He felt the same pain he felt years ago, the pain of being left alone, the same loneliness, the same emptiness in his heart, the pain that he shouldn't feel, yet it was unambiguous on his face, in his eyes, and in his heart. He came home after a long and uncomfortable drive. He removed his shoes and placed them neatly in the shoe rack. As he stepped in the living room, he smelled the familiar lavender fragrance, which had been there since she came here. He inhaled deeply, feeling warmth filling in his heart. He felt his tense body relaxing. As he was about to sit on the couch, the doorbell rang. He sighed and went to open the door. Opening the door, he saw a familiar face. It was one of the house workers of Wyan's parents' house. He bowed and greeted Jimin. Sir, Wyan ma'am sent me to fetch her stuff. Jimin looked at him in confusion. But Wyan is here? No, sir. She is at her parents' home. She asked me to bring her luggage. She said she had kept them in the living room. He nodded helplessly. The worker came inside and carried out the two big luggage placed there. Jamie looked at him silently, fighting with his inner turmoil. She was gone from his life for forever. Wasn't it what he wanted? He's a great businessman. Everything he done is for business. He married Wyan for the deal her father was offering. For him, it was a contract marriage which has to end someday. He knew it. He knew it was bound to happen. But what was this feeling? The feeling of losing someone so dear. He slumped on the couch and threw his head back, staring at the ceiling. Meanwhile, Vine was crying in her mother's arm. It hurts, Mom. Why did he have to do this? I started loving him. Calm down, sweetie. Breathe. Her mother rubbed her back, trying her best to comfort her daughter. Her eyes teared up, seeing her only child in so much pain. Her father was standing at the door frame looking at his daughter with glossy eyes. He knew he was the one responsible for her pain. He was guilty. Only if he hadn't proposed this marriage to Jimin for a business deal. He wanted to go and comfort her, but he knew it will only increase her agony. His glossy eyes met with his wife. She looked at him with so much anger. She was furious. Why won't she? She fought with him for months, saying that it was a wrong decision of him, and it was about her daughter's life. She clenched her jaw and looked away from him. It was night, and Jimin was wide awake, laying down on his bed. The man who even breathed for his work didn't go to his office today. He hasn't eaten anything. His thoughts were occupied with wine. He tried to distract himself, but no matter what he did, she was everywhere. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep, tossing and turning for an hour. He got up, giving up. He got off the bed and made his way towards the room where she stayed till she was here. Her room. As soon as he opened the door, he inhaled the familiar lavender scent. The room smelled like her. Everything in this room spoke of her. He walked towards her bed and sat on its edge. He grabbed a pillow and snipped it. He hugged it close to his chest and lay down on the bed. He snuggled into the bedsheet, melting into its warmth. It felt like home because it felt like her. His own house seemed foreign to him now when she wasn't there. So they swept over him. His eyes felt heavy and he let sleep engulf his senses, giving a pause to his thoughts. 1 month passed within a blink of eye. Jimin's state was not good. He wakes up, goes to office, works, comes back and sleeps on her bed. Her thoughts lingered in his mind whole day. Even when he slept, she was there in his dream. He was unknown of the reason why he was so devastated. Jimin came out of a cafe followed by his secretary. After attending a meeting, when his eyes caught a familiar figure walking inside a store across the road. A frown took over his face, seeing her with a boy. She was smiling at something he said. His feet moved towards her unknowingly, like an invisible string was pulling him. Before he knew, he was already inside the store. He knitted his brows, seeing the wedding attires all over the store. "How may I help you, sir?" A feminine voice gained his attention. He looked at her. She looked like the staff. What are they doing here?" He pointed at the two figures. She looked at him weirdly. "Oh, actually, they are my friends. They ditched me on our hangout, so I was just asking." "Oh, they are buying outfits for wedding." "Wedding? They look cute together," she said, but his mind was replaying the word wedding. She is getting married? Wine came with her best friend Mia and her boyfriend Jungkook for their wedding shopping. They were married tomorrow, and these vague people forgot about their wedding outfits. She didn't want to come, but Mia forcefully dragged her along. Mia was so excited that she didn't wait for them and was already trying her custom made outfit. Jungkook followed a staff member to the male section to try on his outfit. Wine was left alone. She looked around, mesmerized by the beautiful and elegant wedding dresses. She walked to the another side, looking at the wedding gowns. She was looking around like an excited child when a hand pulled her in the far corner away from everyone's eyes. A yelp escaped her lips at the sudden pull. She looked at the person, and he was none other than Jimin. What are you doing? Leave me. She raised her hand, but obviously he was stronger. He left her and turned around facing her, standing 2 steps away from her. How can you get married, Ryan? She frowned her eyebrows in confusion, but her smart brain acknowledged the situation. And who are you to ask me this? You are my wife. I have the right to ask you. These words slipped off his tongue without him knowing. We are divorced if you forgot. I. Still, you can't marry him. She raised her eyebrows. And why can't I? Because he tried to find the reason but found nothing. She shook her head and turned around to go, but stopped hearing him. Because I love you. She was stunned. Tears formed at the back of her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She took a deep breath and turned back to him. Why? Why now? When I am moving on with someone else, you suddenly remember that you love me. He gulped and shook his head. I do. I really do for a long time, but I just didn't know what to name these feelings. I really love you, Ryan. Does it matter now? Please don't say like this. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. It doesn't change anything, Jimin. Neither about the divorce nor about my marriage. He took a long step and held her shoulder, looking directly at her eyes. Please give me a chance. I'm really sorry. She shook her head. It's too late. Will you cook for him? I will. He gulped down his tears, which were threatening to fall. The pain in his heart was becoming unbearable. Will you wait for him like you used to do for me? She hummed and nodded. Will you care for him? She smiled slightly. Of course I will. Will you love him? Her smile dropped, and a tear dropped from her eyes, which she didn't try to hide. He gently wiped it with his thumb. Why are you crying? Nothing. I'm just overwhelmed with happiness that finally I will have a husband who will hail my efforts, not someone who will push me away every time. He understood where she was pointing. I'm sorry, please. No, your sorry can't undo everything. He placed her forehead against her and closed his eyes. It's too late, she whispered in a shaking voice while he shook his head. Wine? She flinched, hearing Jungkook's distant voice calling her. She removed his hands and stepped back. I have to go. She turned her body to walk, but got blocked by him hugging her from back. He buried his face in her neck. She felt something wet against her skin. He was crying. Don't leave me. She heard his shaky, muffled voice. I never did. You are the one who abandoned me. Please. Tears were flowing from her eyes, staining her cheeks. She tried to push him off her body, but he tightened his grip. Leave me, Jimin. No. Don't be stubborn. Let me go. She gathered her strength and finally removed his grip. She ran away, leaving him wailing behind. He came home with a pale and tired face. His eyes were still wet, and his cheeks had dried tear stains. Jimin, this while the person spoke, gaining his attention. He looked at him. Jimin, Namjoon. He ran to him and hugged him tightly, sobbing in his arms. Jimin, what happened? Why are you crying? When he sobbed more. First, calm down. After a long crying session, he finally calmed down. Namjoon made him sit on the couch and sit beside him. Tell me what happened and where's wine? I had to use the spare keys when nobody opened the door. He sniffed and looked down. Young Wine and I. What? Are you crazy? I was out of town for only 1 month and you did this. Didn't I told you to try to work things out with her? He sobbed. Why are you crying now? You got what you wanted, he said sharply and looked away from him. I saw her today. She's getting married. That's a good thing she's moving on in her life. Young, I love her. Where was your love when you gave her a divorce, idiot? I didn't know, okay? I was scared. I was scared of leaving alone. You know, my parents abandoned me on streets when I was just a kid. I know that pain of surviving alone. She was slowly making her place in my life, in my heart. I was timid, but what I didn't know that she had already taken over my heart. Wasn't she putting efforts in this marriage? She was. And what did you do? He remains his time with Ryan. I pushed her away. I told her it's just a contact marriage which has to end one day. I said we'll divorce after 6 months. I hurted her every time. Still, she stayed. She never stopped trying, didn't she? She didn't. She would have stayed forever if you were be a little grateful and this divorce. He trailed off and let out a frustrated sigh. I'm sorry, Hong. Of course you should be, but to Wine, that girl, I can only imagine what she would have felt. First, her father married her off without considering her will, and then you, her dodgebag of a husband, divorced her without asking about her opinion. Of course, she can't just beg her whole life for your love. What should I do? Jimin sobbed loudly. Do you think she deserves better? He nodded his head, still crying in agony and pain. Do you want to let her go for the better, or to be the better one for her? He looked at him through her hopeful, glossy eyes. Be the better one. There, your answer. Next day, he dropped by her home. He rang the doorbell and it was opened by one of the workers. He came inside to find her parents in the living room. They were surprised to see him. Her mother got angry. What are you doing here? I came to meet Ryan. She won't meet you. Please let me meet her once. I want to talk to her. He pleaded, making her sigh. She isn't home. Now leave. Please tell me where she. No, Our father, who was a mute spectator, finally spoke, cutting her off. She went to a wedding. Wedding? This early? No, no, where's the wedding? He told him the address, and he wasted no time in dashing out of there. Why did you tell him? I want Ryan's happiness back, which I ruined. She loves him, and looking at him, I can say that he does too. I want my daughter's smile back. He crashed at the address her father told him. He came inside to see the bride and groom taking vows standing in front of each other. The bride's face was covered with veil. No, this can't happen. He rushed to the altar and held out the bride holding her hand. You can't marry to someone else. I know I made a mistake. Punish me for that. You can't just go around marrying someone else. The guests were shocked. Some were whispering among themselves. What are you doing? Can't you see I'm taking my wife? He stopped and looked up to find a shocked Vine looking at him with wide eyes. Vine, you here? Then who is she? He turned back to find a confused Mia looking at him. He recognized her. She was Vine's best friend. He met her in the wedding. He looked behind her to see a furious Jungkook looking ready to throw hands. Bro, I swear I'll get you beaten from my husband for crashing my wedding and breaking my best friend's heart. Just wait till he becomes my husband. He blinked his eyes and turned to look at Ryan. I I'm so sorry, he's mentally unstable. She apologized and dragged him out of there. What are you doing here? He grinned and said, you aren't getting married. Happy realization. Now tell me. I came to elope you with me. And what made you think I'll go with you? I am sorry, Ryan. I know that this sorry won't change anything, but I have no other option than apologize. I know I have hurted you, but please, all I'm seeking is one chance. Just one chance, Ryan. I love you like no one can ever do. You didn't consider my feelings. You divorced me. You pushed me away. I know. I know how much of a jerk I am. I know I messed up. I know you deserve someone far more better than me. I know everything. I wanted to let you go. I thought a lot about it, but then I decided to be the better one. I decided to be the right person for you. I decided to be the one you deserve. I want to be the man of your life, your man. I am a dumb person to not realize my feelings for you earlier. I'm an idiot to give you divorce. I'm an awful person to leave you. And I'm ready for any punishment you want to give me. All I want is a chance to prove my love and sincerity. For that, I'm ready to beg on my knees. He kneeled down and held his ears. I'm sorry, Ryan. Please give me a chance. I'll do anything, anything to make everything right. Vine wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Get up. He got up and stood facing her. Anything, anything. You know it won't be easy. I won't be easy. I know, and I'm willing to do anything you want. I'll take time. I'm ready to wait for you. Even if it takes forever, even if it takes forever. What if you hurted me again? I won't. And if I did unknowingly, you are free to punch me to put some senses. Not a bad idea. I'll save it for future. Are you giving me a chance? She stepped closer and hugged him. He was quick to hug back tightly. Don't leave me again. There won't be any chance after that. Never.